Hello, everyone. Um, so I've been working on a Raycaster for the 3DO for a couple months now, and I was asked if I could put together just a demo, um, a video just showing the gameplay. So this is the first video that I'm making on this project. It's a Raycaster similar to Wolfenstein 3D, so the geometry is very simple. Everything is basically a grid. I started this project from scratch, essentially. Um, and I'm pretty happy with it. There's a lot of code that I still need to refactor as I go through and prototype stuff out, because I'm also learning quite a bit as I go through this. Learning what makes the 3DO happy and what doesn't. And so I end up refactoring quite a bit, but it's at a point now where I have a lot of elements tied together, and there's enough to really show. So with that said, I'll start the emulator now. By the way, if you see any flicker within the emulator, just some crazy looking flicker, it seems to be coming from OBS. I noticed that when I go back and replay some videos. So yeah, if you see any flicker, it's not actually happening. I'm not seeing it as I'm playing through. And I also go and I test this on the hardware every now and then. I strongly recommend you do that if you're writing something for the 3DO. You don't want to get too far and then find out that, you once you run your program on the 3DO, your 3DO just like keeps rebooting. That's happened to me quite a few times on my first project that I worked on, and you can pull your hair out trying to find out what it doesn't like. Usually, I notice that when you're making a mistake with memory, that's usually what you start noticing is your 3DO would just start rebooting. But anyway, I'll go ahead and start this up, and let's have a look. So right now I'm using a lot of assets that aren't mine, but later I'm going to go in and change those out. I'll try digitizing my own sprites as well and just change my own textures. All right, blue door, a clear indicator that it's locked. So we're all familiar with that color schema. Today I reworked the controls a bit so that it adds a velocity. So I don't know if you can really notice it on the video, but um, when you start moving, it doesn't shoot to like max velocity. It's a little jarring, but I did the same thing to rotation and to strafing. Got my blue key there. Got some health. By the way, this is my third attempt at creating the drawing code for the sprites. When I first started, I drew them whole and then tried using like a Z buffering technique to figure out what to draw over them. And I ran into some issues with that. I then went and created my own pixel plotter for them. But that ended up becoming too slow when I got very close and it blew up. When the sprite blew up very large, it just started to really impact the frame rate. So I went back again to the first idea of using the cell engine, drawing them whole, and I reworked my Z buffering technique a bit, and now it seems to be where I want it. So that was probably the trickiest part, and what I rewrote many times the most. Also, the sounds, they have like the amplitudes adjust based on your distance. So for like doors opening and Marines firing at you, whatnot. If I take a step back, it'll sound a little softer. There you go. I do have a little artifact here. You'll notice sometimes at certain angles, there's an extra slice that wants to be drawn for the wall corners, but that's not a huge deal. I can look into that later. All right, and then obvious exit there. Very jarring transition, but for now I'm just, trying to get the pieces put together. And I think this level that I made, very short, it was mostly just to demo the having multiple stack sprites and making sure things were being rendered correctly. That's about it for the actual raycasting demo. I can show you a quick example on how I create the levels. So let me close this out. So this is another program that I wrote. It's a Python program, and ultimately what I'm doing is I'm building out a binary file very specific to my engine, and the 3DO engine then knows what to read and how to parse it. And so what I have here is you basically create, the width and height of a level that you want. I haven't really gotten to limits yet and that sort of thing, but you choose the texture that you want to paint with. So if I pick this guy, you kind of just draw your way around. And when you have a texture, by default, it's basically a wall. You can right click a texture, a wall texture, to turn it into, say, an unlocked door or a locked door, or mark it as an exit. So basically I painted these doors on and chose how I wanted it to behave. When it's already a door, you can clear it or do nothing. When you click on a grid that has nothing on it, you can choose to either make the player start there or add a sprite. When you click the sprites, you can choose, well, not for static sprites. You see here, if you click on a static sprite, it just shows you position. But if you click on an animate sprite, you can also choose a facing direction that they start in. So these little Marines here, these guys have a field of vision. And if you're not within that field of vision, they won't see you or engage you. So for example, if I click on this guy, this is rudimentary, but he's facing to the right at 0 degrees. I'm going to set him at 128, which would be facing to the left. And then I'll go ahead and publish this again. It gives me a output window here. Make sure there are no errors. Let me move the new map file over. This part can be automated. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But let me go to the CD, into levels, and let me replace level 1. And then let me rebuild real quick. And hopefully I didn't mess that up. So he should be facing away from me when I come into that corridor and not engage me at all until I attack him. So let's run over that real quick. And there he is. So he has no idea I'm here. So if I walk past him, he'll see me. Or if I shoot him, he won't like that. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this. It's a lot of fun working on something like this. Very nostalgic for me personally. And I'll be making some more videos in the future and maybe even some tutorials if people are interested in that. But, all right, well, more to come. So thank you for watching this.